Hey guys, this is Gaijin Hunter. Today they released an update for Nintendo ARMS version 2.0. It adds a brand new character, a brand new stage, and a brand new mode, and a slew of other small little changes. It's a cool update, and as producer Yabuki-san said, they're going to be updating this game like periodically, and all the updates are totally free. They just want to keep it fresh and always exciting. This one is really cool, so let's do a quick walkthrough about what they added. You'll notice here on the main screen there's a few new buttons here. Let's go down to the one on the bottom left called Events. Now you may be asking yourself why there's an opt-in or opt-out for online events, and we actually had a test run here in Japan where if you joined it, they took a ranking for, let's say, like 2 weeks, and then they took the very top ranked players and invited them all on for a live stream where they all played from their house, and they did spectator mode and had a tournament. So this is basically that. They want to know, do you want to be part of their online thing, or do you just want to not be bothered? So go ahead and hit that join if you're interested in any of the online events that they might do. The next one you'll notice here is the stats. Now stats, I guess for some people this matters, for some people it doesn't, but it walks you through by version all your stats for that, that game. Like who was your most used character, what was your win percentage, what was your best weapon, what was your best stage, you name it. It's got a slew of stats, so I think the competitive players will be very interested in seeing this, but I think for the rest of us it's just interesting. Now the big thing is the brand new character who is the final boss of the Grand Prix called Max Brass. Let's go and check him out. Now Max is available in every mode, but we're going to use Versus because I also want to show you the new mode called Hedlok Scramble, which I'll show you after we talk about Max and what makes him really cool. Of course, with a new fighter, that means 3 new arms that everybody can get, and he has by default. Now in case you didn't know, you can press in the left analog stick, and while you have it pressed in, push it either forward, to the right, down, left, or up, and then select your character while you're doing that. You can choose from any of the 4 different color variants that they have in the game. This works for all the different characters, so definitely try it out and find which color palette you like the most. I think I like this one or his default one. Default one's not a bad color on Max. Let's just pick any old enemy here, no real important things. We're just going to talk over what he can do. And here's his new stage, the Sky Arena. Again, if you've gotten to the end of the Grand Prix, you will recognize that this is Max's stage. Now the one thing I want to warn you about is that if you haven't played the game for a few days, or you pick it up and you try Max, you may think that you suck because you're missing a lot, but it's actually because the Nade and the Roaster are special types of arms. They're powerful, but they have no auto tracking. You know how when you punch towards an opponent, if you're kind of close, it'll sort of aim towards the opponent and hit them. These things have it removed because Max, he's the man, he's the commish. He doesn't need them. So definitely advanced arms, so if you don't want these, you definitely want to save up some cash so you can go and get him some new arms in the getter. But the hammer does have some auto tracking, so use that if you're just starting out. And here you can see his movement speed is actually pretty slow compared to some of the other characters, which is fine because this man can barrel his way through a whole lot, and I'll show you why. Max has a special type of mode called Pumped Up, and he can do this 3 different ways. You can throw an opponent, and this is kind of like Min Min in a way, right? You throw and he becomes charged. He does maintain it for about 5 seconds. What it does is makes him a large scale character, just like Master Mummy, so he doesn't get deflected by smaller attacks, and it also auto charges both his arms, so that's pretty sweet. One of the cool things is that he does have the Spring Man evade, so if you go in to charge and someone tries to punch you, you can press evade one more time to cancel out of it, and it will deflect any attacks, so you can go straight in punching. So really, I think as a character what they want you to be is very precise, but also very aggressive. I mean, that's his whole thing. Check out that huge frame of his, right? With the ability, obviously, I think to do the deflections, if you could really master that, just like Spring Man, I think you're in good shape. This is a really low level opponent, so really don't be impressed by what I'm doing. It's not impressive at all. It's actually really bad. And another thing that's very similar to Spring Man is that when he goes below 25% health like he just did now, he will go into auto pump. So both of his arms are charged up, his body is large frame, and he'll stay like that as long as he's under 25% health. So definitely good at making a huge comeback late in the game, especially with his explosive arms. Okay, now let's check out the other mode of play which I really like, which is called Hedlok Scramble. This goes all the way up to 4 different players, which is just total mayhem. But I'm going to show you with 2 players. This does get mixed in if you do party mode, which is nice that they actually did add it. And I think as they add new modes, if they add any more after this, it's just going to make party mode that much more fun. Now this is really cool because at the very beginning of the fight, you'll see a headlock fall into the center of the arena, and you've got to break it. And once the headlock is out, whoever player punches it gets it. And as you have headlock on you when you punch with your arm, it will auto punch with like 2 additional ones on that side of the body. Look at this thing. It's so great. Now you can get knocked out of it, and if you do knock the player out, it will knock the headlock onto the arena for another player to grab. Or if one of the players manages to keep it on for a full 10 seconds, it will then leave the arena and fall back in a few seconds later. So kind of funny, it's like the hot potato, it just keeps dropping. Here it is again. Now I'll admit I find the lock on changing a little wonky, but if you do press the directional buttons on like the D-pad on the left hand side, you can change your target and you can actually then go straight for the headlock. But if you notice, like here, if you get lost in the controls, you can get the headlock knocked off of you and the opponent could take it from you. Darn you, Twintail. I was trying to knock it off of her, but I just couldn't, so now we gotta wait for it to appear again. And finally, 2 nice touches when you do have the headlock. If you do a throw, you do get its sort of super powered throw, which is 200 damage, which is a lot more than you could do with your normal character, and your super becomes its supernova, which is super powerful. All in all, the Hedlok Scramble is a fantastic addition to the party mode. I definitely like it. Things can go either way. I was playing it with my daughter and it was just a riot, because if someone gets a hold of it, it can really turn the tides of the battle, and you can sort of get you know, like the comeback wins, which is really cool. I definitely like Max. I think he's going to be an interesting player as he evolves and we find out which arms are even better with him than maybe his default ones, and his arms are available to get with other fighters, so I definitely think that explosive hammer may become a popular choice. Now this update also brings in a bunch of system tweaks to make the game a little bit more balanced. For example, Kid Cobra's, his jumping distance was a little too big. The popper for Ribbon Girl was a little too fast, so they went ahead and made some true changes, some nerfs, some power-ups, some little things here and there to both the arms and the fighters. And overall, I think the game though has been really balanced, I think, from the get-go, so great job to those guys for nailing it on version 1.0. 2.0 is going to be great, and who knows what they're going to have for 3.0. Can't wait to see who the next fighter is. If you're not that familiar with ARMS, or if you're still on the fence of getting it, you can check out my review linked in the description down below. And until next time, take up ARMS.